We're bringing in right now Daphne Hart from the Red Cross and the American Red Cross. Daphne, when we talk about evacuees, we talk about people needing assistance. What's the Red Cross's role in this?
One of the things that we do is we provide shelters for people to go to when they've been evacuated. They've had to leave their homes, sometimes in the middle of the night. They don't have any food. They may not have a change of clothing. We provide that safe place for them to go, that comfort, that hot meal, and sometimes just arms to wrap around somebody and just give them some help to get through this really difficult time.
And what about emotions? What do you see there? I mean, and what do you deal with that with folks too? With whether they need somebody to talk to, therapist, somebody professional?
Absolutely. We have mental health at almost all of our shelters. I was at a shelter yesterday, and I have to tell you that the spirits there were incredibly high. I talked to a family that had been evacuated in the middle of the night. They had nothing. They had their 7-week-old Chihuahua puppy named Emily, and they were just so happy. And they did talk to some people, and but they were doing okay. But it's certainly, anybody can go to our shelter. Even if you're not staying at our shelter, people can go to shelters to get that professional help or just to talk to somebody.
How, in this time of financial need and everybody's suffering and budgets are suffering, and there's a huge emergency like this, how difficult is it for the American Red Cross to respond? Are you having trouble right now?
No, we're not having any trouble responding at all. It is our job to be here, and we will continue to be here. Certainly, like the rest of America, the Red Cross is affected by the financial crisis. But if anybody wants to help us out, they can go to redcross.org, and any donation, no matter how small, truly will make a difference.
And how long are you going to be having these evacuation centers running for people?
As long as they're needed.
If they need information about where to go, what the hours of operation, where the locations, how do they get that information?
They can get that information from redcross.org, and I know also the Red Cross LA chapter has information on their page. And if you go to redcross.org, they can point you to that direction, or you can call 1-800-RED-CROSS.
And we'll make sure we put a link for you on our website at msnbc.com. All right, Contessa, there's something you wanted to ask?
Yeah, well, I just wanted to point out, and I'm a volunteer for the American Red Cross here in New York City, but this also starts the preparedness month that the Red Cross does. All these people who've been forced to evacuate had to go and grab their financial paperwork, their important documents in terms of the deeds to their homes, photos. Maybe Daphne wants to talk a little bit about how people get ready for these kinds of emergencies so that you're not sitting there in a panic trying to decide, what do you take from your home, what would you need in a shelter?
Our co-anchor, Contessa Brewer, back in New York, who's also a Red Cross volunteer in New York City, says, is there some takeaway for people, even if they're not affected by this, about being prepared for an emergency? What do they need to have, in a sense, a go bag of what they should be putting together so that they don't face this daunting task of trying to recreate their lives?
Right. I'd suggest going to redcross.org. There's information on the front page. I live in Orange County, and even though we're not affected by the fires today, there's a very real chance we'll be affected by fires later in the year. Redcross.org has great information. People should bring food, medical supplies, documents, anything that you're going to need to feel a little bit more secure when you're in a shelter and when you're away from your home. Remember that just because you evacuate does not mean that you won't have a home to go back to. It's just a precaution. So bring those things that are important to you, that you want in the short term and that you can't live without in the long term.
Daphne Hart of the American Red Cross, thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Al.
Great information. And we're going to have more from Southern California as this breaking news story about these wildfires that not only continue here in California, but across 8 states throughout the Southwest. More when we continue.